everyone, to another episode of the Indie Credible Podcast. I'm Xander Skullion, and I'm joined with good old Jeff. What's up?
I'm here. I'm alive, sober, somewhat. It's early morning, so I hope I'm sober. I got my coffee in me. Every weekend we do a little indie credible editing. Got that. Got a cool ass intro for the next episode that y'all will see sometime well before this.
Indeed, and a lot of cool stuff to talk about in the beginning of the episode. A lot of cool stuff.
You want to hear about something really crazy? It's already aired, but episode 13 of Rescue High Surf, I'm on it.
That's cool.
And in the intro, the trailer, I'm in it because I'm in the Army real life, but I played a Navy sailor doing a 21 gun salute. So second person from the left is me on TV, and it's on day after the Super Bowl is when episode 13 aired. So that's my episode. So I'm on television, Fox, everyone.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty crazy. So I think we should talk cool stuff at the beginning. And I posted sent it around to a few people, but I've been making a few of these.
Ooh, look at that.
So this is, it looks like a etched thing, but it's also 3D.
Yeah, I like that.
3D. So, and in other words, like I made this different elements. And so this is Zelda and the shield are both a separate cutout piece of wood. And I've done others where it's thicker wood. It looks way more impressive. So I'm kind of demoing and templating. But my question to the listeners and to you, Xanders, what's the first indie game I should do one of these for?
Oh man, that's a loaded question right there.
Exactly. And like should I do it for full 50? Should I do it for Questmaster? Should I do it for Sydney Hunter with our buddy John Lester? I worked on a Sydney Hunter piece, and you have to do vectorized graphics, otherwise it doesn't turn out well. So even this, like I printed this, but then I had to do a vector to get this to print perfectly around. And so like what's the do I redo Sydney Hunter? The other thing is like I could paint the colors too. I mean, badass. So I have a lot of things, but also what is the first indie credible podcast piece that I should do? Because that also would go to Patreon subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm working on gathering up cool items for the first quarter of the stuff I'm making for the Patreons, and that's your producers and above producers, executive producers get cool shit. So what should I just do, like a classic our logo as like a coaster or something?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with coasters. Can't go wrong with that. I really feel like the branding, that had some sort of tribute to UFO 50, because I feel like that was the one game that really cemented. Yeah, that was the game that kind of cemented us starting the podcast. That was that one special game. So,
well, the logo does still have the UFO 50 computer on it. So
yeah.
That probably, we'll just use the icon maybe for the first piece, and that might be the first official contribution to the Patreon little treat package that I'm working on. Crazy stuff, man.
That would be cool, man. I love it. I love like the detailed like wood, and it looks like rustic, but at the same time, like you said, you could add like color. It could do a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool
exactly.
stuff.
So, we'll talk at the end of the episode about another cool thing for Patreon, but I don't want to be a Patreon episode at the beginning. But I had asked you before we started recording, have you ever opened up a chromatic Game Boy game? Like one of those mod retro ones?
I haven't, but before we get into that, I do have to mention I went to a GameStop a couple of weeks ago, and this is like the biggest GameStop I have in town. It's one of the big ones that has a lot of merch. And, it was kind of weird that the chromatic, like, it wasn't really that advertised in GameStop, at least in my GameStop. It was like they had like a little poster on an end cap and a little poster behind the counter. And behind the counter is where they had all the stuff. And I was just kind of like, man, you think they put put this a little bit more out in the forefront, especially since they're trying to embrace, whole flashback retro kind of aesthetic. Because they did have some, retro games. When I say retro, I mean like Wii, Xbox 360. I feel like these were games they had in the back of their stock room that they never shipped off to like Texas or whatever, like quarters, main place they have, and they're like, oh, let's put them out. Because most of them didn't have box art or anything like that. They had the generic GameStop. So I was kind of disappointed to see that because I remember we did talk about the chromatic in a couple episodes ago, and you have some really cool stuff to share with that. But yeah, folks that are listening, if you're in your local GameStop, like ask the employer, be like, yo, where's the chromatic? What's this all about?
Now, did they actually have the games back there too hidden?
I didn't see any of the games.
No, and so that was the thing is like in the one that's closest to me, they have the chromatic. Like when you walk in to the right, there's like a little glass case and it's like hidden there. And it's just in there. They have a couple consoles, no games. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure they have games at these GameStop. They're just hiding. And so I ended up, this was during the holidays. I ended up getting the bundle because it was like buy 5 get 1 free, essentially, the way that they had the whatever going on. I'm not sure if that sale's still going on right now, but that's what I ended up buying. And a few weeks later, they shipped, and I got them in the mail. And my thing was, I was like, "Have you ever opened one?" And I have thoughts. So, I mean, number one, as most listeners know, I did run a physical publishing company for 5 years, and I did all of the packaging and design and all the production. So I got a lot of knowledge within this stuff. And there's some stuff that I like about this, really like about this. I think it's dope. And then there's some stuff where I'm like, they need to work on some stuff and fix some things. And some of it might just be unavoidable, if that makes sense. So, and it will make sense as we talk through things. So here is the box of the chromatic. And what I really like is on here, it's like chromatic. It's shiny. It's like a little rainbow. And over here too, they have like a little rainbow thing. And
it's cool.
I like when companies take the extra time, even these little ones here, and that's hard to line up when you do printing. I like when the companies do that. Now, here's my first gripe. Probably one of my only gripes. Look here on this screen. You see that?
Oh, it's like a little ridge right there.
So when I opened it, in order to open this, even putting my finger this much into here, it ripped the box.
Oh.
Like it was unavoidable because it was so tight after I took off the cellophane. It was so tight that it tore my box. So when you open these games, you got to be super extra careful. Like there's like it tore a little bit right there. So now it won't be mint. It's it's CIB, but it's like now
yeah.
I mean, like
went down a couple pegs.
It went down a couple pegs in a cool factor because I don't ever sell my stuff like when I have my one-of-a-kind stuff. But unfortunately, now I'll probably have to get an upgrade because it's going to bother my OCD brain. Unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
But the thing, so that's one thing. It's interesting too. They actually have black on the inside, which is cool. That's a little extra thing where they actually took the time to do a other side printing of just black to make sure it looks real nice when you open it. It just gives it a whole like vibe. And then when you open it, it has a tray in there. So there's an actual plastic tray that's form fitting, so that way keeps the box solid. And the cartridges, they all have different colors. So this one is clear. It says Tales of Monsterland DX, which is a platformer. So it's platformer, Game Boy Color style platformer. Now, I do like that the boards are also white.
I was going to ask, do you think that all the Monster Land cartridges are going to be clear, or maybe like every box you get might have a different colored cartridge?
From what I've seen, they're all the same color cartridge for each one. I'm sure that they could do one in the future, maybe that it would be limited colors or something. But from what I've seen from others and online, I think all of these are clear. And then another one has like red or different color. And then in this version, and I'm not sure if they all come like this, there's a little keychain in the back.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And it's it's one of those that hooks up to the side of your phone. It's a phone charm, is what that is. Really, not a keychain. It's a phone charm, which I think is dope. And it's a little pixelated character. It's the main character from the game, and it's a little pixel keychain. It's tiny. It looks awesome. And then, of course, behind it was a manual. The manual,
That's a pretty good size manual too.
it fits perfectly behind the little tray. So it definitely does not have the impressiveness of the box, though. That's one thing. Like, they could have, made this a little bit better for the actual just the cover aspect. But one thing I do really like here, it's traditional manual style, but they took the time to put about the developer in it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I
That's
like
really
that because it leads to the preservation, and you get to the brain of what the developer actually had in mind. And this was the first game that this developer made in 2021. I know this because it's in the manual. It's super cool. It gives you a little more personalized aspect, and that is indie. That is super indie, which I love. So I say kudos to Mod Retro for doing this the right way. Like, for real, they're doing this the right way. I love it. My only concern is that when I open the next one, I'm gonna rip my damn box because of my big meat claws. Like, it's a me thing. I don't know if it's just a me thing though, because like I wasn't rough with it. I literally just put my finger, like I do every single box I've ever opened in my life, and it ripped it immediately. And Game Boy games did this. Now these are a little bit thinner than Game Boy games, so it might just be that because it's a smaller cardboard box, it's just that much harder to open.
You'll have to get out like a nice X-Acto knife next time. See if maybe slowly and surely, like you're diffusing a bomb, try to open up the box. Don't cut the red wire.
Like doing this. Because the thing is, it's tight though. Before you break this seal right here, it's tight as hell. So my next piece is after recording, this weekend, I'm definitely going to put this in my analog pocket and give it a trial. So hopefully it works in analog pocket. Like, I'm assuming that it does, but yeah, I wanna give it the trials and tribulations.
Seeing that cartridge, and it gave me an idea that would be really cool for like future releases for folks that are doing like clear retro cases. Like, the fact that the back has nothing on it, wouldn't it be cool if like the back of the cartridge actually had like concept art or like gameplay screenshots on the back of the cartridge?
That would be interesting.
That would look kind of cool, because I mean, like,
Yeah,
it
one
looks cool. Like, yeah, like when you turn it around, there's like nothing there. I feel like there's some real estate there that could be something really, really interesting for sure.
I mean, that is a good point. And the traditional Game Boy also was clear on the black back, but yeah, interesting. Might be a thing to do. Do you remember back in the rental days when sometimes you would have on the back of a cartridge, the rental store would slap a sticker on it that had like the little bit of like the controls?
Yeah, I remember.
That's an option. Maybe we get some old school rental store about the game controls just on the back of the cartridge.
Yes, that would be cool.
Now, that being said, you're not going to get the game without the box nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially right now while they're new. Because it's going to GameStop, who's to say that kids aren't going to open them, tear them open? But I doubt that a lot of kids are collecting Game Boy games in the chromatic, because as we had talked about, they're hidden away in the add-ons of a GameStop.
Yeah, it is so weird. It was so weird going in at GameStop and not really seeing anything about it. I mean, I was just like, man, I thought they would have a little bit more stuff up front with it instead of just, discounted pop figures. But I mean, that's GameStop for you.
Pop stop.
Yeah.
Pop stop. Like, wild. So what have you been playing this week, Xander?
Well, I've played a little bit more of the Knights game that I was talking about last episode. That was like the Survivor like. I played a little bit more of that. I've started to unlock a little bit more builds, and the gameplay is really starting to ramp up. Because that was my first thing when I first started playing the game, is I felt like it was kind of slow. because the animation when they're swinging the sword is kind of slow when you first start, and it's like, oh, it's kind of chunky, but I mean, it was fun. But as I've progressed a little bit more, it's gotten a little bit more crazy, and I've been still playing some Abathur. I've been still playing that, and
Abathur,
it's starting to get to that point now. We're starting to have like Super Castlevania 4 platforming, which is very interesting. That kind of threw me in a loop. Like, yeah, but by the time you get to the second world, and I think like stage 2 or 3, there's like a waterfall level, and you're jumping on the platforms and stuff. And it was so much like Castlevania because even when you fall, you don't die. You go all the way back to the bottom. And you have to work your way back up and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get a physical of Abathur. I've been really enjoying that game.
Is Abathur available physically already?
I'm not sure. It should be soon, at least.
Oh, okay, nice. That'd be cool.
And it's coming out on everything, so I'm probably gonna get it. I'm probably gonna get it on the Switch for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I went back and I was playing Bow Path of the Lotus some more. I think it's called Bow, but that's the Metroidvania one where you're playing as like a kitsune fox looking character, and it's all futuristic tech, and there's like tons of little pieces where you go around to hack things and computers, but it's all like beautiful. Like, I don't know, like I see Lotus and I think like beautiful flowers and stuff. There's a ton of that. And each time I go and I was like lost, and now I'm running around and I've fought a few more bosses, unlocked a few more abilities. I can get all around the damn map. But then I'm like, don't know where to go next. So then I think, that's taking another boss.
Yeah, that's always my biggest fear with Metroidvanias is hitting that wall of like, where do I go now? But yeah, I saw the gameplay of that when I was doing the show notes, and it's fast and fluid. I'm a big fan of like Japanese mythology and stuff like that, so it's right up my alley. It looks great.
It does have a physical, but I'm playing it on Steam, playing it on the deck. But it's the thing that I like about it is that I love exploration Metroidvanias, and I like the ability gating. I like the way that the abilities progress. The combat is chunky. There is a lot of death platforming though, Super Meat Boy style. And later on Hollow Knight, like death portion styles. There's a lot of that where you have to, like, as things are moving around, you got to attach to a certain spot so that way you don't get damage around all the spikes or all the things that harm you. And there's a lot of that. So that's one of the things where it's like you can't just glide through the game, because this game feels like one that you would want to glide through elegantly through the game, and you can't necessarily do that as much as I would like to. And so then the other thing is playing and working on lots of projects and playing a few different games. I tend to not get as engrossed in a game as much as I should, because I don't just stick to one. So I'll jump to another game, and then I'm not able to enjoy and as much.
It makes you think of like back in the day when I was playing Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and I was playing it, and I stopped playing it, and I picked it back up like a month later, and like it loaded up with Link in the middle of the ocean, and I'm like, all right, I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah, where the hell am I going? Like, you're like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like, that's exactly it though. It's like jumping in, and I was thinking, I was like, did I write about Bow Path of the Lotus in the Metroidvania Chronicles? I think it was up and coming when my first volume came out. I think it was in my, like, here comes an awesome ass game that people need to play, but I'm not sure. I'm looking real quick as we talk, because like in the works was like Prince of Persia. Yeah, it is. Here it is. I did cover it. So
That's
I
cool.
did cover it in my Metroidvania Chronicles in the upcoming, and it looked so cool, and the game definitely holds up. And the thing is, those screenshots, I still haven't seen some of that stuff. Screenshots in my book. Dang. Being crazy. Another one that I had played that I thought was interesting that I wanted to mention is Eternal Strands. And so it is not really indie. Like, I was like, man, because I ended up playing it because it was on Xbox Game Pass, like PC Game Pass. So I was able to just download it and play it. And I'm like, I was playing through and I'm like, okay, so this is definitely like, it started loading the shaders. As soon as it started loading the shaders when I started the game, I'm like, okay, this is a bigger game than I had thought.
So it's just a bigger game by like a newer studio, more so than like indie or.
It definitely feels like a bigger game from a newer studio than just strictly independent. And you go through, like, you go to the world and you have like a couple goals and you're going around fighting stuff and gathering up resources. Then you go back to your town hub world style thing. You talk to characters, upgrade some of your stuff, like either whether it be your equipment or whatever else. And then you move on to the next objective. So it's more of an objective based. It feels like it's kind of open world, but they've definitely, early on in the game where I'm at, they're definitely compartmentalizing the levels to where I would get to a spot and it's like you can't go any farther, and then it pulls you back.
Yeah,
So you can you can even see the enemies, and the enemies can jump out from that fog and attack you.
Oh,
You can't go in it.
Oh no.
So I was like, it was a very interesting aspect
It's
of
kind of
the
like
game.
it's kind of like the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom, where it's just like you're on that, platform and you can see what world you're going to experience, but you don't have the parachute yet, so you can't go to it.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it does that and it just opens up, and that would be interesting. But in the same aspect of getting lost in, Bow, the Metroidvania, I probably won't have the time to learn the lay of the land and the maps and all of the biomes and memorize where every little cave is.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a very in-depth game. Like when I saw the trailer,
Yeah.
I can definitely see what you mean. It looks very polished. Looks like a
Well,
very polished game.
and I will say, like, I was the second mission probably that I was playing. I felt like I randomly stumbled onto the objective where I needed to go, like out, and that could be good level design why I did that. But then it's like, all right, now get back to the hub world. I'm like, where the hell is that? The map doesn't lay it out. It doesn't give you marker objectives, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But then it's like, yeah, just go over here, take the shortcut. And I'm like, I couldn't find the damn shortcut. So I ended up wandering back through the world the other way. And I randomly came to the exit. And I'm like, I don't know if there was a secret way to get to that thing, but I felt like I found it through happenstance. And I'm like, I don't want to do another mission. So I stopped playing the game.
Ah. Yeah, I would have done the same thing. I mean, that's one of the things I like about some of the games that like kind of have like an interesting way of showing you where to go next. Like they have like Visions of Mana has like this like sparkly path that you follow, or like Ghost of Tsushima will have, the wind below. Like I like it when game developers have like an interesting way of showing you where to go next without, taking you off the beaten path. But if you get lost within the way, they're like, we got you. We understand this world's kind of immersive and crazy. Here you can get back into your lane.
I don't need the old man Xander candy cane trail, but I would like to be able to look at the map and say, this is where to go.
Yeah.
Like, and it didn't really have, like, the map just showed the entire world. And I'm like, I couldn't tell natively if you could just zoom in. Maybe you can, and I'm just all thumbs. But it was just like, I couldn't easily see where I was on the damn map. And I couldn't easily see where the objective was to go to. And like, even if I could mark this shit later, that would be okay too. But it was just, I was like, I'm just gonna wander around this fucking map, and I killed everything, so there's dead bodies everywhere. I don't know what else. Yeah, it's like randomly stumbling upon things, and I mean, the thing is though, is that it's just, and that could be, maybe it is indie because it doesn't have that extra layer of polish on it, a little bit of, a little bit of clarity in your mission based aspects. But yeah, it was knocked down a couple pegs for me for that. So it's like a BC game. It's not quite A or S tier or anything. It's in there for me.
Sometimes you gotta play those games or just like pick up and play and have a good time. Like the next game that you had listed, that's right up my alley, and it's a $5 game. I saw the price. I'm like, it's $5. That's good.
Yep. Yeah. And so that was good. And it has some issues. And that's was Holua's arcade. It's Holua, Holua's arcade. Uh, so when you go there, you start off, you're in the arcade. It's all pixelated graphics, looks awesome. You walk around the arcade. You can talk to the arcade owner to exchange money for tokens. You can go talk to people to get hints. So there's like codes and objectives in the games. So it'd be like, all right, here's the hints on how you can maximize your score. And then you can go and like refresh your hearts, and that is part of my issue with it. But the games themselves, the arcade games themselves are cool. I played 2 of the 4. First one I played was it felt like a Gradius or Life Force shooter, which I thought was awesome. Definitely. And when I say Gradius or Life Force shooter, it's not bullet hell, tons of bullets everywhere. It's more
Right.
lots of ships coming at you that you can kill with 1 or 2 shots, and you roll through. And that the complexity is of the different things coming at you, the different obstacles versus just bullets, tons and tons of bullets. And so going through that was awesome. I played through for a few levels, actually, like 2, 3 levels, and then I ended up finally dying and put in my little what is it, the initials in the game. But then there was another game in there that was like a ninja game. Do you know the game Ninja Jar Jar Maruken?
Probably if I saw screenshots of it.
So it's a long-running Famicom series where it's a single platforming puzzle style arcade game where you're playing as a ninja, and there's an NES version, but there's like 4 or 5 Famicom games based on Ninja Jar Jar American. And there's also Game Center CX, which is called Retro Game Challenge on the DS, as a ninja game as well. There's actually 2 of them. The third one's more like Ninja Gaiden in that series. It's Hatoru-kun. But those games are also a tribute to Ninja Jojo Murukun. And this game feels like all of those, which is really, really cool. You just go through, you do little objectives and move on to the next level. You're like trying to go around. And it also has, did you ever play the game Impossible Mission on the NES or Commodore 64?
I did play it on the NES. Yeah.
Yeah, so in that game, you're uncovering and deciphering codes on the computer in order to progress to the end of the game. And you go through and there'll be like robots. Well, this game is like a combination of the ninja games with Impossible Mission, which is wild. So you have all these enemies coming at you that you can throw like a ninja star at, but you have to scan the elements in the level. And after you scan them all, then you can get to the next level. So you have to like scan things. You get points from different scanning and items, and sometimes you'll destroy all the enemies. And doing all that while, in classic Pac-Man format, these enemies are trying to kill you. And so it's a interesting game.
Yeah, when I saw the trailer, there was like a really cool looking puzzle game with a penguin. That one looked a lot of fun. It looked very familiar.
There's a penguin game and a beat 'em up game. Those 2 I did not play. And that's because in between those 2, I decided to leave the arcade. And you can leave the arcade. And then it completely changes it, and now it's a platforming game.
Huh.
But it was not good. And because it took away, so you're inside the arcade, it's all pixelated. You go outside, it is like this hand-drawn art that looks okay. It's not that great a hand-drawn art. The jumps and the controls are clunky. It's like a really like terrible jump. And then you get this little attack that you can do to fight all the different enemies. And the enemies drop money that you can use to transfer to tokens so you can play more arcade games.
Yeah.
And so that's a cool aspect, but it's just the platforming is off. And it's like you barely have enough clearance to get over obstacles or enemies. And then you have to hit these little like vines to jump up to the next spot. And you get like, you go do this to get to treasure chests to get like 5 coins or 10 coins and stuff. But it's also not hard enough to, or difficult enough to like make me go back either, because I feel like they wanted it to be challenging, so you go back into the arcade and spend money to get your life back, because if you take hits, so it starts taking away your life. I was like flying through the game, going through a bunch of different spots, and it's slow, but I ended up getting like hundreds of coins, hundreds, and it takes like one token to play a game, like hundreds of tokens. And so I was like, all right, so apparently either it's not meant for a retro gamer who knows how to play, which would be weird because it's all arcade games, or they're like I just understood how to play it, but like and then the platforms, like you barely have pixel perfect to be able to land on it like your classic unlicensed bootleg NES games from back in the day. So
Yeah.
like you'll be going off a thing and then the platform is like pixel perfect to get onto it. There's no like give, you got to have a little bit like it has to be a little floaty when you jump, like a little bit. It has to be pixel perfect when you land, but a little bit higher. You like Mario shouldn't be able to jump 5 times his height, but he can in the game. It makes it feel satisfying. It's missing that in the overworld. So it feels like that's just a distractor, but knowing that I have to go do that to get more coins in the future is like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it kind of takes you out of that element a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, there should have been a way to earn more coins by like you talk to those people who give you the hints and like challenge me, and then you get coins for doing that or something, and you beat their little challenge or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just nitpicking, but it was cool. The arcade games are fun and they were tight. The platforming and the controls and everything in the arcade games was great. It was the little outside thing takes you out of it. It's like a different game. It's like they had another idea for a platform and they're, oh, we'll just throw this into this because it won't be a standalone. That's what it felt like. Yeah, but for $5 worth the
I was gonna say, yeah, $5 is not bad, for what it is. It looked like a fun game to live stream. I was looking at that. I was like, yeah, that might be kind of fun to stream and show off stuff for sure.
That'd be cool, man. Dude. Yeah, have you played anything else or you just been down?
Yeah, I've been just chipping away at those games.
Yeah, because like normally I would play more stuff, but I've also been working on the Indie Gaming Gems book. And so now that Indie Gaming Gems is down to a monthly aspect because the 10 best games of January came out, and then I'll do a 10 best games of February for the year. I'll do each one each month. But because of that, I actually have 1/5 of the book written now. 20 games I have written reviews and templated and formatted out there. So and my goal is to do 5 games, maybe 10 games a week, and maybe I can get it done. If I do 10 games a week, maybe I can get it done and ready by the summer. That'd be kind of cool. And then have a book ready for the summer because I also have the Switch book that I need to get out. So yeah, I'm working on TurboGrafx too, so it's wild. And as some of the patrons have seen, I did upload the 1990 Video Game Culture Chronicles, which I'm going to build a full digital library on Patreon for everyone. And if you're at the digital or above, which is like $5 a month, you do the digital or above, you get them all for free. So all my digital releases for free. But I was reading it and I'm like, man, I had fun making those layouts. It's cool as shit seeing 1990 with like, it looks like crazy old magazine ads is the way I did it. And it's badass. And so I did 90 and 91 back in the day, Patreon exclusive at the time, but I would like to do 92. So I get a 4th book that I'm fucking around with now too. So it's doing little bits of pieces here and there on all the different projects, but the Switch Year 3, that one needs to really come out this year. It really
I was gonna ask you a loaded question. When it comes to gaming in the 90s, do you have a particularly favorite year when it comes to the 90s and video games?
Not really, because there's just every year had gems that came out. I mean, because 92, like, dude, there's a lot of cool ass games in 92. And I mean, that's when Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and then you have your different Sonics, the Zelda, and also Spades is right in realm too.
Yeah, and the NES was still pretty supported back then too. So you had some, later NES.
92 was the end. 92 was the end of the eras, because in 91 you started to see some of the big hitter, like the expensive ones, and 92 is like the tail end. I think 93 may have been Wario's Woods. I'm not 100% anymore because I wrote that book like a long fucking time ago, like 10 years. 10 years is a long time to forget things, people. But I mean, when Zelda comes out, like, like that's that Link to the Past was my favorite, and I didn't get it till later because in '92 I was still NES, like for me. And then eventually I started working, and that's when I earned my Super Nintendo. Spent money and bought my Super Nintendo. So, and I was only 92. I was what, 11? So I wasn't working yet. Like I didn't work for years. So I didn't get my Super Nintendo for years. Like that is wild to think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was 7 years old. I was just starting to learn how to write my name. You're just a green bean. Yeah, back then I was getting parent teacher conferences because I was writing about Nintendo too much. They were like, "Yeah, you can't keep writing about Nintendo." Because they'd be like, "Yeah, write about your favorite food." And I'm like, "I like pizza. I like eating pizza while I'm playing Nintendo." Got in so much trouble for it. But yeah,
And now look at you.
I know. I do a podcast, a weekly podcast, still talking about video games all these years later. Like,
Yes, we have a sickness.
and that sickness just keeps getting sicker because we're going over the horizon and talking about some indie games that we wanted to give our first impressions of. And this one right here, man, I've wrote my show notes of this, like Strider in the Metroid universe.
Ooh, which one are we talking about?
What is it? ReSetna?
ReSetna? Yeah, ReSetna. And that's when rust consumes the world, people. Yeah, it looks like a wild game, and the graphics in it, though, it really does remind me of like a Metroid Dread, Metroid 2 on the 3DS style because it's got that 2.5D to it.
Yeah,
But it looks awesome, and it's like the robot though has the little thing on its head that reminds me of the Strider you're talking about.
yeah, and it's very fast paced. I mean, you're jumping on the walls, and it was one of those
Do
games
a flip.
I was watching the trailer, and I'm like, man, this looks like my kind of game. Like very fast reflexes. Now, is this a Metroidvania or is it like stage based?
So it does say Metroidvania in the tags. So the developer at least tagged it as it, but it's one of the later tags. It says, action, adventure, exploration, platform. So I would be willing to bet that it's an action combat focused platformer. So if it has Metroidvania aspects, it's either subtle or maybe it has an open world with a little gated exploration. Haven't played it yet. It looks awesome though. Now keep in mind, this game is $20. So it is a more of a regularly priced game for being an indie. Don't know if it has Steam Deck compatibility yet because it's still brand new. It hasn't even been out a month yet. So they had made one other game though, because I always got to look. Did make one other game called Dark Worlds Collide. It's a bundle though that they have. Dark Worlds Combined bundle, and it comes with The Devil Within Setgat. That's the other game, and it's like a $24 game made by somebody else. It's called Nucor Games, but it looks like Raiden on it, and that game also looks like the same style genre, but with more combat based. A little bit slower paced, but it's another game that has Metroidvania aspects to it, post-apocalyptic Souls-like action platformer. Let me have every freaking buzzword. Okay. Like what the heck? But both of these games have a demo to it, so
That's awesome. That's always good,
worth checking out.
especially for that price tag.
Absolutely.
$20 is kind of a gamble.
$20 and $25 for the other game that they're promoting with the game pack, it's just a bundle. Because a lot of times you'll see developers working together to bundle their games for more exposure, and that's what this is. So that developer, either they worked on it, you'd have to do more research to figure that out. But at least there's two different cool Metroidvanias bundled together. And this one though, action like Strider, is very intriguing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely caught my interest when I saw that gameplay. And speaking of price tags, I want to make sure I want to make sure that I was looking at the right thing on the show notes because I was on Steam. You had SHMUP Creator.
Yeah, shoot 'em up or shmup creator. It is on here and it is $70.
That's brand new game. That's AAA. That's AAA territory right there. But yeah,
it allows you to create your own shoot 'em ups, whether you want to do bullet hell or regular shooter. And the key is with this, you also can release executable files of your game and sell them in Steam. So if you make your own, you create your own shoot 'em up, you design all the things. I'm sure that you can't just like take pre-made assets and just sell that. But you make your own game, you can sell your own shoot 'em up.
So you can make your money back. So
you can make your money back. So I am interested to know though if it if it allows you to just makes an executable, or if it's something that like Pixel Game Maker where it's still in that construct when you release it. So you have to like release it in their system, because I did buy Pixel Game Maker and I don't have time to do it, but I did buy because they had like a Black Friday sale or something. So because Pixel Game Maker is like $90, $100 too. It's ridiculous, but I got it for like 10, 20, 30, whatever it was when it was on sale. I was like, all right, heck yeah, it's like 70% off, 90% off, whatever. Bought it, but that one you have to like publish. You can even publish it to Switch, but it doesn't work. So like the little within game thing, publishing it. So I'm not sure if you have to like publish the games within Shoot 'em Up Creator, or maybe you just save the project as, and it creates a folder and executable, and then you can just publish it to Steam. If it does that, that's pretty damn cool. Like like we could do an Indie-credible game, like easy.
Yeah.
Like if it's that easy,
it would be wild. Like if we talked about like some game that was like over the horizon, like some shmup game, and it was like, oh, well, this is actually made with the SHMUP Creator. That's pretty cool, you know?
Just imagine a giant boss as Xander's head going, where did you learn to fly? Like, like it's just his head like moving around and he's like shooting tons of bullets everywhere. Saying things backwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a scrambled egg with my head on it, and it's like the frying pan that you're flying around, and I'm like shooting like.
Where did you learn to fly? Where did you learn to fly? As it scrambles the bullets at you. It'd be awesome. I mean, that's the thing though, is that, once I'm retired from the military, I'm probably going to make crazy stuff just because we can. That'll definitely be something fun, especially if this game does work like that. I'm going to have to mess around with just the system and see if it does. Because like there's a lot of games like Mario Maker and Questmaster where they have a lot of awesome creation tools, but then you're just playing it within the construct. So I just go play other people's games. But if I can make my own, like that makes it interesting, especially if we could do some kind of fun merch with it and stuff, and then make it within the Patreon thing and do all the fun stuff. Like that would be pretty cool, and that'd be something that I would mess with my infinite time that I don't have.
Indeed.
But the game looks cool as hell. It looks very easy to do. Like, I mean, they're showing all different genres. You can do horizontal and vertical. Like, it looks awesome. And I mean, if you could also push it to like phones, that would be awesome, because I would love using my finger to weave between the bullets.
Yeah.
That's my favorite stuff.
Yeah. So like,
yeah,
I saw like I said, I saw the price tag and I was like, holy crap. But then, hearing more about it, I'm like, well, that's pretty worth it. There's a lot of stuff you can do with that. Now, what's interesting is the next game you mentioned, I still have never
tracking. Were you tracking that there was this game was coming out? Because I was not.
Well, and I was about to say, I've actually never dived into this like series, even though it's a pretty important indie series, because it got support from Nintendo. And
because it was the NecroDancer series, and they were all Zelda styles. So the fact is like you have the music and you move your character and all the enemies. If you move to the beat, it becomes easier, or you become more powerful, whatever. There's a reason to go to the rhythm. And then there was a Legend of Zelda featured one where you have the main character, the girl, in there with the red coat, and then you have Zelda and Link in there too, and they can play through. And I did play that one on Switch, and that was cool. And this one though, I'm looking at it, it's like Guitar Hero.
Yeah, that's what I put down as Guitar Hero, which reminded me that like why didn't we have more games in the past that utilized the Guitar Hero guitar? I mean, you had some games, but you didn't really have a whole lot of interesting concepts using that controller. And I was like, man, this would have been really, really cool back in the day when, Guitar Hero was really big, that you're not only having, Guitar Hero to play guitar songs, but this right here would be an adventure game built off the guitar. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's pretty cool.
Kind of like what they did with or the Fit thing.
Yeah.
What was that called on the Switch?
The Ring
I can't
Fit.
remember. Ring Fit. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then no other games used it. But that was a cool ass game. I liked it. It was challenging when you would do it a lot, like the leg things and all the stuff. Like I worked out doing it, and it was cool. Nothing to replace my normal workout routine. But like the thing is, so seeing this game and seeing that it is, because I thought maybe the screenshot was like a gimmick, and then there's the regular NecroDancer thing. No, this is all Guitar Hero.
Mhm.
So my thing is that I've seen it at the stores. They have the new Guitar Hero guitar. So there's a Guitar Hero guitar that's compatible with Windows and PlayStation and Xbox. But there's no game. So like there's now a game weirdly that's not Guitar Hero that plays with it, but like that's an interesting thing because those controllers I think are $100 with no game. Which I thought that was a weird thing. 'Cause when I saw it the first time, I'm like, why is there a Guitar Hero controller in the new one when there's no like series anymore of Guitar Hero Rock Band, none of that stuff?
Yes.
Back what 2 generations ago, they were coming out yearly. You'd have Guitar Hero, Rock Band, then you had Rock Smith where you could play with a real guitar. They had like pro controllers. I got the damn pro controller for Rock Band 3, and it had like buttons for every fret. It was insane. I'm like, I'm just gonna play with the real, and then they had the real guitar too at the same time. So they released that one, and they released the real guitar that they had that was compatible with Rock Band 3. And by the time I got those in the mail, because it was on back order, the game we stopped playing it because we were playing it like every weekend when it first came out. Like we'd have a whole band going and have fun with it. But it's just not as fun playing with real frets. But the Rocksmith was teaching you how to play guitar. That was really cool. But it was all too little too late because at that point, people had started to get burnt out on the music genre. But now I feel like people are getting back into it. So I'm thinking that the company that released this guitar was thinking that the games would have already been out from the nostalgia by now, but they haven't.
Yeah.
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 My thing is if it's compatible with the PC, and then I could find my old Frets on Fire, Keyboards on Fire file. I don't know if you ever heard of Keyboards on Fire.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm talking, my daughter's a teenager, and before she was born, before I met my wife, I was playing Keyboards on Fire, and it was every game. So you would have Rock Band guitar, and every single song ever, people would just make riffs on, and you could play them. You could play every song ever, and that was on your computer. That was amazing. And then you're playing it with the keys but like imagine like now with modern perfect sync, perfect no lag, and you could play it with the Windows guitar. Like, dude, like I haven't messed around. I don't even know if Keyboards on Fire is still supported or a thing or even works with Windows 11. But I don't even know. I know it's on an old ass hard drive that's in storage, not with me. My old files are still there somewhere. So, huh.
So yeah, it'd be cool. It would be really cool if this game was compatible with that guitar, because that would be an interesting concept.
Yeah. And then there's like a picture where they're on a yoga mat. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. But no, this looks cool. And if it is truly an adventure game, I mean, like, you're fighting enemies by doing the frets, but it looks like there's only 3 buttons. Or am I crazy? It's like left, up, and right.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this playing with all the buttons at one point. It's like 5 or whatever it was for Rock Band. That was not a problem. So
Yeah.
it might be easy. Let's say that,
Any-
and then they probably do something crazy with it. Like it's but how much is this? What, like $10, $20?
I didn't see. I
20
didn't see the
20
price. 20.
20
Okay.
currently on sale for 18. $20 game. So again, this is the episode of expensive ass indies. Expensive ass indies.
Really, yeah.
Because for real, like all 3 of these games are, and I definitely the last game is definitely not a expensive game. It's like a $5 game. But the thing is though, is that this one is when indies, now you have the 3rd game, maybe 4th, but the 3rd game in the series at this point. So they're starting to get recognition because this indie developer with the first NecroDancer game got popular and got a Nintendo IP license with one of their games, which is super cool. So, I mean, I think it's really cool to see what they're doing with the series, and I like seeing people jumping into this indie scene.
Indeed, doing something a little interesting control wise too. Like that's, like I said, that was a really interesting concept when I watched the trailer. I was not expecting to see that, fretboard flame up and see the buttons. I was getting instant like late mid 2000s flashbacks. I'm like, oh my god, man, this is kind of cool. So yeah, I'll probably check.
It. Yeah, I mean, well, it's $20, so hopefully there's either it's gonna come physically on Switch 2, whatever, or we get it soon. We find out if there's guitar compatibility, then you're tempting me.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Tempting. What else do I got to do but play Guitar Hero Decorators?
And speaking of tempting, this game looked tempting because, like you said earlier, this is like a $5 game. This is more my ballpark right here, and it's a really interesting looking Metroidvania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called Escape from the Tethys, or Tethys. Tethys. This. But it looks like a classic Metroidvania where you have the character's like a smaller little guy. There was a game, Xeno something. Not Xeno Crisis, not Xenomorph. Xenocide. There was a game and it got a physical release on Vita and then Switch and all the things, and it was a smaller Metroidvania. It reminds me of that series, but in reality, it has a lot of classic throwbacks to the original Metroid. So the Escape from Tethys looks awesome to me. Like this one right here is the games that excite me because it's number one, it's for sure indie because it's like $5, but also it just looks like it hits the inspirations just right. And like I say that this is on the horizon, but in reality it's on the horizon for us because the game is 7 years old.
Yeah.
It was released in 2018. But the thing is, there's so many games released that we're gonna miss stuff all the time. And this is the only game that this developer has released in 7 years.
Yeah, and it's got a mostly positive review on Steam. A lot of folks are recommending it. It says first unlock 20 unique upgrades scattered across the 5 different biomes. So there's a lot of content I feel with this. Even though it's a cheaper game, I feel like you're gonna get your bang for your buck for sure.
Yeah, but no, the game looks awesome though. This one might make it to the my monthly list because it's that cool. I just gotta give it a whirl.
Yeah, and it's a small game too, so it fits nice on the Steam Deck.
Ooh, it might fit nice on a piece of wood. Maybe. And maybe that's what I do, Xander, for this when we had talked about at the beginning of the episode. Like what game should I do? Maybe I find like my favorite indie game of the month, and I make something cool for it. Just as like this is my game of the month. And I have then I'll have like the whole year I'll have like the little like awards.
That would be
cool. Do that. Because now I could go back in January and say, all right, which one out of these 10 that I covered in January is the top game? And it also goes into, like, we probably talked about it on the Incredible, and so it's like, got me thinking now. That might be the way that we roll with that. And there is something else cool that I have going up. So
Oh yeah.
I think I should talk about that. Is this book finally came in, the Metroidvania Chronicles Phase 2, which is the second book in the series. The Metroidvania Chronicles continues. A lot of indie games in here, so it's definitely applicable. And we got close to 200 pages, like 194 pages in the volume. Say around the same size as the other one. I just do like a different color on the spine and have fun with it. But the thing is that new artists on the slipcase and on the back piece, because you had Phil Summers, who had the recent Capcom licensed Mega Man book, but this one's done by Thor Thorvaldsen, which is the classic in the indie community. He does amazing artwork. So, because Phil, for some reason, was busy. I don't know why, but he was busy, so he was unable to do the volume 2. However, volume 1, and I have a little Cindy Hunter in here, as well as you got Metroid. AM2R I covered in here, and then you have stuff like Monster Boy and Ender Lilies. A lot of amazing games in this one, as well as some unconventional, because I got that boy in here, and that boy is not a Metroidvania, but it is awesomely unconventional because I like to talk all of the things. And there's this too that nobody really talked about online when it came out, Convergence, which is part of the League of Legends, which is wild, but it's a straight up, really polished Metroidvania. And so, and then up here, you got Mummy the Mastered. Like, you got a lot of classics. So, now the thing is, and this is where things get a little fun, is that if you have purchased a copy of either of these books, or you purchase one in the future, all you have to do is go on social media or YouTube or whatever, do a video or tag or do a picture, tag, and put the website, HagensAlley.com, and I made some patches. So these patches are pretty cool. These, each one for each book, and I'll just mail you a patch for free. So all you got to do is, tag, because it helps people find out about these amazing books. And you can see, like, I did crazy, just like with the chromatic, I got crazy quality upgrades and all this. There's also limited slipcases, and if you buy those ship directly from me, and I will sign if you want me to. You just have to ask. So, now here's the question for you, Xander. On every book, I do different games on here, and this is done by Nick Huddleston, the artist. He also did the first one because he does some amazing work. What games are covered? Can you get 2, maybe 3? There's 4 games on here. Can you at least get 30?
Well,
Nah.
trying to
Can you get?
trying to see if I can see a little bit better. I don't even have my glasses on. There it goes. Let's see. Well, I know there's Blaster Master for sure.
There's one. You got Sophia on there, so you got Blaster Master.
Okay.
And there's one other that's an obvious one, because maybe you don't recognize the sword. The canon, probably Samus stuff.
Well, I see like this sword in the background.
There's a sword, but you may not be able to identify a sword. But the other one is the orbs. What are the orbs from? Because that is the key there.
Huh.
The orbs.
I'm not sure.
And the orbs, there's this character right here in purple with the 2 orbs in her hands. The character. It is a little known game called Time Spinner. That was one of my favorite Metroidvanias in the Switch library that I played. And Time Spinner 2 it's either already out or it's coming out very soon, Time Spinner 2. But Time Spinner was one of my favorites. So I incorporated, and Nick did an awesome job making it the highlight, because in this one, you have the classics. You got the Metroidvania whip, you got the Castlevania whip, you got Samus, you got a sword, but in here is Hollow Knight.
Oh, wow.
In the mess is Hollow Knight. You see it in Samus's reflection. So, I mean, that one was super fun to do because he had, that one was cool. This one was really cool. So, I have had people reach out to me. They want a volume 3. However, we've already talked about 4 books I'm working on concurrently. So, I got to put the finishing touches on that Switch book before I can move over. D&D Gaming Gems book is my next major compilation book that I'm going to do. Different way though, because in here, if I open up to basically any page, you can see that we're doing like this definitely not safe for work Midnight Castle Succubus game. However, there is a safe for work version of this, but there's beautiful artwork and awesome spreads. I'm doing more of a traditional white background for the text for the indie gaming gems, but there's still going to be art, and I'm going to go around all the pieces. I'm having fun with this stuff. Like the way that I'm doing the turbo book is going to be different than any layout I've done for my complete series, where you're going to have backgrounds of blown up pixel art behind it or between the different reviews, and it's a 2 game per page instead of 3, so I have a little more fun with it. And like I'm definitely just having fun and experimenting and making sure to make cool ass stuff, because in the end I'm making it for me, and people just happen to like it's really for me and for us. Like it's really for just to make cool shit. Like I'm not trying to pander. I'm not trying to garner tons and millions of sales. Like if anything, like if I put it on a table, it's not going to sit there for long because somebody sees it. They're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
The hard part is, which is why I like the patch idea and things, is getting people to see, because I'm not going to sit there and put tons and tons of money into marketing that I can't afford. So
Exactly. And you have so many projects too. And, I think this is a good segue to let people know that, your Patreon is free to join, and that's where to go to check out all your crazy adventure endeavors. Cause like you're mentioning so many books here, it's the best way other than listening to us on the podcast to stay up to date on what's going on with Hagen's Alley for sure.
yeah. Yeah, and we do want to say thanks to the Patreon executive producers. First one is Acrylioff. And now I just did the Xander scramble. Acryloff.
Indeed. And Burner Turner.
Burner Turner. We still haven't figured out what's burning as he's turning, but I think we'll figure out Burner Turner. And then you have David Isherwood from over the other side of the pond.
And Lunchbox, aka the Disgruntled Gamer from Thunderdome
Gaming Society. Thunderdome Gaming Society. Make sure you follow. A lot of them have awesome channels as well. Make sure you follow their content. Links in the description below. Or if you join our Patreon, there is a channel where we all chat in there. And there's a lot of links in those channels.
Indeed, indeed. And as always, guys, we want to thank you for listening to another episode of the Indie Credible Podcast. As always, happy gaming and support indie.
Thank you, everyone, for checking out this episode of Indie Credible. There we go. Make sure you follow us. We have lots of stuff going on every week on YouTube on Fridays, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check out Indie Gaming Gems. That is the structured review/preview series about 10 indie games you may not have heard of.
And you can check me out, Xander Skullion, across the board. I kept it real simple for you guys. You can check me out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. And, on my channel, I cover a little series called Play and Tell, where I talk about games I've been playing, leave little short impressions, mini reviews, and most importantly, when you walk away, you have something new to play. So you can check out my Play and Tell series. I also have some reviews that I put out every once in a while, and a live stream, which I'm really trying to commit and have a dedicated schedule. So that's more important that you hit the bell so you're notified whenever I'm live, because you never know. I might be live right now.
Yes, he's always live. Oh, always. And then, of course, I have all of my books at hagensalley.com. You can check out. I've had like dozens of books published. I try to upload and keep things up to date with the latest reviews, the latest books up there, but they have to be in hand. So if you follow me on social medias, you'll see when the newest Kickstarter goes live, the backer kit goes live, the newest crowdfunding thing is going live. And as soon as you become a backer, there's updates that go out all the time. So we're always working on new books and new series and new things. Of course, upcoming, coordinated with this podcast, will be Indie Gaming Gems, which will be coming out next year sometime. It's going to be fun time here for us in the indie gaming world.